The courtroom was dead silent when the judge leaned forward and called her a coward. No uniform, no medals, just a young woman in a plain shirt, standing alone while everyone assumed she was weak. But then she leaned toward the microphone and whispered 6 words. Words that froze the judge mid-sentence and turned the entire court upside down. Backhand index pointing right. From which part of the country are you watching? Leave a comment and let us know. The courtroom had seen liars, criminals, and broken people, but it had never seen silence like this. Every bench was full. Journalists lined the walls. Cameras waited like predators. At the center of it all sat a young woman named Hannah Cole, hands folded calmly, eyes steady, wearing nothing that suggested power or importance. No uniform, no insignia, just denim and a faded red shirt. To most people in the room, she looked small, ordinary, easy to dismiss. The judge didn't bother hiding his irritation. He had spent hours listening to testimony painting Hannah as reckless, insubordinate, even dangerous. The prosecution had done its job well. They said she disobeyed orders, that she abandoned her team, that her actions led to classified losses. When it was finally the judge's turn to speak, his voice was sharp and final. "Miss Cole," he said, adjusting his glasses, "you ran when things became difficult. The court does not reward fear. What you showed was cowardice." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Hannah didn't flinch. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. Instead, she slowly stood, eyes moving briefly across the room, past the lawyers, past the spectators, past the flags, and then back to the judge. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, almost gentle. "Permission to speak freely, Your Honor." The judge scoffed but nodded. "You have 30 seconds. Hannah stepped closer to the microphone. Her hands trembled just enough to be noticed. Some thought it was fear. Others thought it was guilt. What no one realized was that she was reliving something far louder than this courtroom. "I didn't run," she said. "I followed protocol." The judge leaned back, unimpressed. "Protocol doesn't include abandoning." She leaned in and whispered, barely audible, "Call sign Raven 7, black tide, authorization." The effect was immediate. The judge's face drained of color. His pen slipped from his fingers and clattered onto the bench. The prosecutor froze. One of the military officers seated in the back stood up so fast his chair fell over. "Repeat that," the judge said quietly, his voice no longer commanding, now cautious. Hannah didn't raise her voice. "Raven 7, black tide, active extraction order, classified at the highest level." The courtroom erupted into confusion, but the judge slammed his gavel once. Not in anger, but in urgency. "Clear the room. Now." Within minutes, spectators were ushered out. Cameras shut off. Doors locked. Only essential personnel remained. The woman they had called a coward now stood at the center of a sealed federal courtroom. The judge finally spoke again, softer this time. "That call sign hasn't been used in over a decade." Hannah nodded. "Because it's only activated when everyone else is expendable." She told them what really happened. How she was embedded deep inside a covert operation that officially didn't exist. How her team had walked into a trap designed by someone with access to U.S. intelligence. How extraction orders were changed mid-mission, not to save them, but to erase them. "They wanted us gone," she said. "Clean slate. No witnesses." She explained how she disobeyed a direct order to stay put, because the secondary call sign overrode everything. Black tide meant one thing: get out alive, no matter the cost, and bring proof. The data drive she carried had already been verified during a closed session that morning, something the prosecution had conveniently left out. The prosecutor tried to speak, but was shut down by a military general who had remained silent until now. "This woman saved lives," he said, "and exposed a breach that goes far beyond this courtroom." The judge removed his glasses. His voice cracked slightly. "Miss Cole, the court owes you an apology." Hannah exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. She hadn't come to be praised. She had come to tell the truth. The charges were dismissed within minutes. Records sealed. Apologies offered. As she walked toward the exit, the same people who once avoided her eyes now stood in silence. Respect had replaced judgment. Just before leaving, Hannah turned back. "Next time," she said calmly, "don't confuse silence with weakness." And with that, she was gone, leaving behind a courtroom that would never forget the moment 6 whispered words changed everything. If you enjoyed stories where strength is hidden, truth cuts deep, and justice takes unexpected turns, make sure to subscribe to the channel.